Thank you for staying with us. So World Suicide Prevention Day was on the 10th of September. And commemorating this day, we have Dr. Maymunah On, a mental health advocate, founder of the Pinnacle Medical Services Limited, and co-founder, Hygis Consult Nigeria Limited, Optimal Performance Consult. She's a consultant, neuropsychiatrist, and a fellow of the National Postgraduate Medical College of Physicians to talk about its prevention and raise more awareness. Welcome with us, Dr. Maymunah, to the show.
Welcome, Dr. Maymunah.
Good to have you. There was a time we used to have you back to back, but just abandoned us.
She has blown.
You know, you've blown now.
Blown
so
now.
because they like Larry Olusola, they don't blow now. So don't forget that you're
You guys, the people that are saying that we are blown. No.
We were in the beginning, no.
that are blown.
How are you doing, though?
Look amazing.
So we brought you for a very serious matter, suicide, because it's quite sad, you know, and it's sad that they've even made in Lagos, they made Third Milan Bridge like the venue for suicide missions, and every now and then you're hearing one person wants to fly over, jump over, and you're thinking to yourself, this year, as we commemorate this date, what new message is out there on how to prevent suicide?
You know, when this was made a day, that was, I think, 2003, as Suicide Prevention Day, and of course, September is Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. We know it's not, one day is not enough, and we also know that 1 month is not enough, but it's preaching that hope. So for the past, since last year, there has been a triennial team creating hope through action. Because when you create hope for people that have suicidal thoughts, people that are dealing with suicidal issues, or even families that have lost somebody via suicide, they feel cared for and they feel supported. So what are the new things we are looking into? There's nothing we are definitely reinventing. It's the things that are available to each and every one of us, especially with the advent of social media. With the advent of social media, if we do not report suicide cases responsibly, it can skyrocket into what we call the
trend.
Weatherman effect, you know, whereby we have that people, you know, now a well-celebrated suicide case will now be, people will start affiliating with it.
Becomes trendy.
Becomes trendy. You know, we call it copycat suicide. You know, and you know, the time where Kate Spade died and Anthony Biden, at the same time, you started seeing people coming up. You know, was it 2 days ago they tried holding somebody? This morning a DJ died. That was reported. I think died last night or yesterday, but reported today. So you will find out that in these cases, in the next 1 week or thereabout, you keep seeing. It's not that we are having an increase. It's the reporting. It's the awareness. But of course, with COVID-19, the lockdown, the isolation, people are having
and it was
that
predicted.
Effect. Yes, it was predicted.
It was predicted.
The effect of COVID-19 is going to be another pandemic. And increase in the rate of mental illness is one of the things that were predicted. Financial issues, increase in rate of mental illnesses.
But you think in Africa we have resilience. You know that these are when you go things. These are things that when small headache now you want to commit suicide. Small stress now you want to commit suicide. But Nigeria, now today, you have that thing. Listen, we're strong, we're black, we know we've got to cover. You know, we're very resilient people.
Which of the generation is resilient? Because, you know, we're in layers, we're in different... At the time we were growing up, we had things to dissipate our energy. We had play, we had work, we had... But right
community
now... Community, yes. We had family support. We had... But now, everybody is more like on your own, mind your business, don't take my children's matter outside and all that. But help me, because I'm happy that you are a mental health advocate. And with your work, you must have come across a lot of people who were trying to heal from suicide. How can we better prevent it in a climate that people are not still open to accessing therapists?
How can we better? The thing is that the greatest risk for completed cases of suicide is a previous history of suicidal attempts. And when we look into that and we look at who are the people that are even at risk, and that came to your question, like, why would we Africans and all that? Well-established cases are linked to depression and abuse of substances. But there's impulsive cases of suicide. People that are vulnerable, that are exposed, refugee, migrants, racism. Then those of us in Nigeria, poor financial status, poverty, relationship issues, crisis here and there that people cannot really, take, kind of compliment. We are in a society where therapy is seen as if it's a taboo. And the moment somebody like you say, oh, my friend is Dr. May, there is already an assumption that there's something wrong with you. So I have friends even stigmatizing me.
Wow.
They rather call me my friend as against my doctor. Because once you say you are my Dr. May is my doctor, like something don't do this care. So people don't go for therapy because of that discrimination, stigma, prejudice, attached to mental health, people living with mental illnesses and their families. And they just believe that these people can never recover. And these are myths that we are trying to break every day. And letting people realize that none of us, including those of us sitting in this room, have absolute immunity to having a mental illness. No vaccination that is in incubator, that is already done, that you can take and say, if I take it, I am not going to have a mental illness. It's for us to normalize mental health conversations by building a culture of compassion. Because when there's a culture of compassion, people can't speak up, people can't speak out, people will encourage help-seeking behavior and know that there's something wrong with you. Go for help rather than like,
no. If I bring Nima in here, at the core of every help we hear is family.
Very important.
Which is what we had as Africans. So even though mental health or the mental health issues can be addressed in other clients by going to and see a therapist, here, once family comes together and shows you support, you get out of it somehow. Not all cases. But in some cases, the family comes together and they support you. So even abroad, they tell you, stay with family. So because we have that. So my point is that isn't our own natural, traditional way more effective than going to look for a therapist?
Depends on the level.
It's combination. It's better, healthier, cheaper, and more forward-thinking to have a combination. It's like putting spirituality and orthodox. Even studies will tell you that those that are more spiritually minded heal better and faster. So family is the core. We still need that family and social support, but that doesn't still take away the benefit of therapy if and when you need it, because we know that some of us are already sitting on the fence. We are coming from a family where there was dysfunctionality, there was divorce, death of one or both of your parents, trauma, child sexual abuse, and all those things. Or positive family is your mental illness. And it's not your fault. You are doing everything right. You are keeping sane, having good friends around you. You have a good job. You live in a good environment. You have a good car, and you still have a mental illness. You will start challenging your belief. How come I still have a mental illness? Because it's already encoded in your DNA because of the family history.
That you have.
Even from history, we see that Africans, there's a way not necessarily that we deal with suicide. So if a person commits suicide, they do the burial for where they bury. They will take him to the evil forest. So religiously, it is said that, you commit suicide is a crime against God and that hellfire is the destination. You never see paradise. So how do we change this conversation in these areas where it is important so that the mindset starts to see it as mental health issues? Because as we see now, a person who has some mental health issues might be seeing suicide as something beautiful because he's not sane. So how do we change that conversation?
So the thing is, because there's religion, when you look at the wheel of wellness, there's financial, physical, emotional, psychological, spiritual, and all that. So you cannot take one away from the other. It's a combination of a 360-degree holistic human being. And so when people talk about when you die by suicide, you're going to hell, like, how have you gone there to see what is happening there? People that died by suicide never really wanted to die. I need to nip that in the bud. People that died by suicide never really wanted to die. They wanted the pain to go away. So that is why when you look at the warning signs of suicide, what was the person saying before he or she died? Oh, I feel like a burden. Oh, the rapture should take place now. Nigeria is one cancer. You know, this pain, especially those that have chronic pain too. Apart from people with mental illness, people that have chronic pain, what are they saying? What do you see in the person? Does it become aggressive, all of a sudden irritable, feels humiliated, depressed, anxious, or the behavior of the person, visiting and calling people to say goodbye? We've seen people that died by suicide that actually did their funeral without you knowing. Gathered friends, celebrated, then in the following morning, is the person sleeping sleeping too little or not too little? Or is there an increase in the rate of alcohol or substance abuse? So when it comes to this spirituality thing, it's for us to change this narrative and let people know that they did not intend to die. They wanted the pain to go away.
Well, how do you help somebody who has bipolar issues? Because I've heard of suicide. 1 second they are here, they're there, they're all over the place. 1 second I'm suicidal, next second you are doing something else. And you as a family thinking, how do I help this person?
There's treatment. Most medical conditions are treatable, not curable. We have to understand there are certain things that, if malaria, we have not cured it now.
Yeah.
All of us, we treat malaria. These days, we don't even do tests. When you are feeling some, I think it's malaria. Even if it's not malaria, because even if your blood shows, the best practice for malaria is go and do tests. But no, we'll go to the doctor. I have malaria.
I know
it's malaria. So the truth is that most medical conditions are treatable. And managing bipolar affective disorder, because it's the two ends of the polar, whether on one side depression, one side mania, is to give this person something that will be able to balance the mood. So that is why they give them what we call mood stabilizers. That doesn't mean that this person may not have maybe suicidal or harm him or herself later, but at least that treatment is there, counseling and therapy is there. If there's a need for admission at any point in time, the person goes, family support, the person should have work doing or be in school. It's all round, it's total package. Not just one, then maybe you are helping the person. We've seen people that have mental health issues, they come to the clinic regularly. They take medication, as prescribed, but they are not getting better. Why? They are in a home environment that there is hostile, and there's a toxic relationship where we have what we call a high express emotion. Any small thing the person does, is that your sickness that is in you? I know that is what is doing. Oh, it's because you are not taking your medication, Abi. Even in the workplaces.
How can that person heal?
How can that person heal? Even in the workplaces, they will set a banana peel. Before you know what is happening, the person will lose his job. Two things will be following that person. You are dealing with a case of medical condition,
and then
you are losing your job. Fry pan to fire, grace to grass. So how do you want that person to heal? So that narrative is a collective one, and the management of suicide is multidisciplinary, multi-sectorial approach. It's never one size fits all.
Doctor, so I'm doing some studies in this, because this is also my line, gradually, but through the spiritual angle.
Very important.
And I've been having conversations. So there's a particular person I'm working with who has had issues of suicide before, and he's gradually coming out of it. Oh. And after a while, he had to relapse. And we started. And one of the things I discovered is before that thing comes, it starts with a deep thinking of, I have failed everybody. I have failed myself. And we're trying to go through a process of how do you change those thoughts? Because those thoughts come as feelings, and those feelings go into those behaviors and those habits and takes you down. So how do we start by teaching people how to understand that failure is okay?
Exactly.
Nobody should put you under pressure to have a form of success that is not yours. You will get there at your time. What sort of conversation do we begin to have with people around us who are constantly looking at themselves as, have not achieved as much as Nima, and a failure?
I know that thing comes from that when you feel that you haven't, you at a certain age, you should have done X, Y, Z. No. There's what we call failing forward. You don't have to see failure as a big thing. Rather, see it as lessons learned and run with it. In fact, if you don't fail, you will never progress. It's because you failed on something, that is why you are making adjustments and making changes. So what brings about those kind of feelings? What are the triggers for that individual? You must deep dive into, every individual is unique, wonderful and fearfully made in the image of God. So you must deep dive into that person's genetic makeup and know what are this person's triggers, what are the recent events. Because sometimes I've seen somebody was a manager, jumped 2 ranks and became a GMD, because one of them retired, the other one relocated. He couldn't fit in. He was having anxiety. He was having post because he was like, I wasn't prepared. This was supposed to come in 5 years' time.
It's here now.
It's here now. How do I cope? So it's not every failure that even successes can make you feel that way.
Let me pause you for a second, because this call is holding and it might be an important call. Rotimi from Ikorodu. Good morning. Are you there? You're live. Go ahead, please.
Good morning, sir.
The issues you guys are discussing are very germane. I won't lie to you, there are so much depression in the society. You see, Nigeria is going towards a very dangerous end. Before now, there was nothing like suicide bomber in Nigeria. We used to hear it in the news in Iraq and Afghanistan. Today, Boko Haram institutionalized suicide bombing, and this one is gradually phasing out. The major challenge ahead of us now is this suicide mission. The suicidal, third bridge, and every other thing that you have seen. People die every day on suicide in their rooms. People buy snappers, 1,000 naira, drink it. This can happen. The government needs to change the mindset. The government needs to change policy on how to empower youth, especially the undergraduates. There are so many parents who can't pay their school fees. So many of them are at home now with their parents. They can't cope with the society, with the current trend of the economic hardship of the country. A lot of people have breakup. A lot of people have so many things that you can't mention. Lastly, before I take more of your time, I will advise Lagos State government or federal government right now to do a covering through Third Mainland Bridge, to cover Third Mainland Bridge, to cover it like probably the way they are.
Thank you, Rotimi, suggesting. So, this issue of when somebody tries to commit suicide, as a therapist, what's the first thing you do to that person? So now we saved him or her from jumping over Third Mainland Bridge, and we've captured the person. What's the first thing you tell the person? How do you start that therapy?
The truth is that when such a person comes, sometimes you just sit in space for the person. You may never need to say anything. Yeah. You can introduce yourself and let the person know, my name is Dr. Maymunah On. I'm a therapist, and you are welcome.
And just sit.
And just sit. A lot of times, the words we say, if you listen to that video of that 2 days ago, because I was tagged, I woke up and I'm like, what is this tag all about? Somebody said, why do you want to commit suicide? Why do you want to kill yourself now? If there are many problems in Nigeria, why do you... You know, those words you say. So the thing is that we have to listen to people not judgmentally, whether in therapy and outside therapy. We have to learn to reduce, that attack on people as if they are going to go to hell if they die by suicide. So if they come in as a therapist, the first rule, medically, globally, is to have a detailed medical history. Because we want to elicit why that person even came to that stage of, I'm feel hopeless, worthless, I'm done. Why? Why did you... When there are options, when there are other things you can do if you are feeling down and out, and if you are able to nip that on board, it's easier to manage.
Right.
And that's why they said the most established reason why people try to kill themselves is depression and substance abuse. That doesn't necessarily mean they are only those ones. And when you talk about the younger people, fourth leading cause of suicide, fourth leading cause of death among the age 15 to 29 is suicide. So, and these are our future generation, future leaders.
So since this is the day of the awareness, what can we do? What can people around, people who have those thoughts do? How aware should we be, and what should we look out for?
Awesome. This is one platform we are doing now, which is very good, creating that awareness. Schools have just resumed, whether locally or internationally. A lot of children have resumed in the last 2-3 weeks and they are in school. Schools should also ensure they establish create a mentally healthy, school environment where children can easily speak. When you talk to children, especially those in secondary school, they are telling you they don't want to talk to the school counselor. No. Mommy, that school counselor does. I said, why? He said, because the school counselor will go and use his or her case to discuss. So
they're usually not fine and attractive.
Yes.
They need to attract the children. No, you start from there. These kids, I have teenagers.
So you see those kind of things. So create that mentally healthy school environment. Even do assessment through link to parents. The way we receive, most of us as parents receive love letters this new session, increase in school fees and all that. Then, of course, train the law enforcement agency to know how to report to them. And media, we did the training for media in 2020. And what did we do about that? How to report cases of suicide responsibly. Instead of saying, Lagbaja died in number 3, Mushin Road, don't specify those things and use sniper. No, don't put those details.
That's important.
Don't put those details because now people will go to Mushin
find
out and then go to that Sikira and buy sniper from Don't do that.
Thank you very much, Dr. Maymunah. I have to let you go because we run out of time. But it's always a pleasure having you on the show. We definitely have to bring you back because this issue of suicide is prevalent and we must stop our young people from engaging in it. Just like Rotimi said, it's hardship everywhere. What is affecting them in America is even what's affecting us here. Here it's poverty. And people are depressed. And we have to find a way to solve that problem. That's all we can take on the show today. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.